One of the greatest riddles of history appears to a great deal of social scientists the question, why did arise modern industrial society in Europe and in that special period of time? Why did ancient societies such as the Roman Empire, the Chinese Empire, or the Indian empires did not create industrial society at any time in antiquity or in medieval times? Why did modern industrial society came into being as late as the 18th century, and why did it appear in Europe and not anywhere else? These questions are said to belong to the most pertinent and to the most remarkable phenomena in world history. First of all, I show you my publications about the subject I have written during the past decades. The third publication, Once Humankind Thought Like Children Do, is a book that will appear in Cambridge Scholarly Press during this year. I estimate during summer or early autumn of this year. And there's a long chapter pertaining to the subject of our present day presentation. The second article, The European Miracle, Psychological Stages and the Origin of Modern Society, is an article I would strongly recommend for those interested in the subject. The first article is an article written in German language. Here, Die Entwicklung der Menschheit von der Kindheitsphase zur Erwachsenenreife also contains a long chapter pertaining to the subject. And the third and second article reports about a discussion I had with several social scientists who commented to the article, The Rise of Modern Industrial Society. And the third article, Can Childlike Humans Build Up and Maintain a Modern Industrial Society, is a reply to the commentaries of the social scientists. Therefore, you have there a full article going from 262 to 385. That is more than 100 pages, including the articles and the discussion. And here you have long chapters concerning the rise of industrial society in the West, in the East, and in the South of the globe. But it's only in German language. That there is a connection between intellectual advancements on the one side and the rise of modern industrial society in the West is an idea you can trace back to the great authors of enlightenment, especially in Paris. The great authors of enlightenment, such as Saint-Simon, Condorcet, Condillac, Voltaire, and all those authors, Turgot, had the idea that the rise of modern industrial society is connected to intellectual advancements, to stages of mind, to higher stages of mind emerging in the 18th century. And also Auguste Comte, the founder of sociology, maintained this connection. His law of three stages connects the development of mind to the rise of modern industrial society. He discriminated three stages: the theologian stage as the first of humankind, the metaphysician stage limited to the early modern Europe, let's say to the 15th, 16th, and 17th century. And then, as a third stage, the positive stage, Comte designates the history of the 18th century, especially. The positive stage is a stage where metaphysical and animistic and magical thinking is abolished and replaced by a rational and scientific thinking. So he combines the rise of sciences with the rise of modern industrial society and sees the rise both of sciences and modern society as a manifestation of an intellectual advancement. And Comte had already a psychological stage theory basing on the idea that the earlier stages are childish stages of mind, and that the positive stage is a kind of mental maturation resembling to developments taking place in the child. And therefore, you can say that Auguste Comte had a theory of the rise of modern industrial society that is superior to all those approaches developed by economic historians or by historians generally or by sociologists over the past 50 years. The core and the principle of Auguste Comte's theory belongs to the best we have in social sciences pertaining to the subject. It may be that Auguste Comte's descriptions are often superficial and shallow and let's say are written in a boring way in comparison to the standards we have today. But beneath, you see that he found the key, that he described the main principles and the core ideas we have to follow when we want to understand the problem. And therefore, there is a direct connection between Auguste Comte and Jean Piaget, or between Auguste Comte and the stage theory of social development. And so I see Auguste Comte as a predecessor of my own theory, or conversely, I see myself in the heritage of Auguste Comte. Jean Piaget himself also saw a connection between the emergence of industrial society and stage theory. For example, in his third volume of the development of knowledge, written in 1950, the sociological thought, the biological thought, in this book, you find some formulations devoted to the link between the formal operational stage and the emergence of modern industrial society. It was Jürgen Habermas who followed this idea of Jean Piaget in his book zur Rekonstruktion des historischen Materialism. You find also an English edition of the book. It's a compilation of essays, and there are some essays in the book. It is a sampler where he connects stage theory of Jean Piaget with sociological theory, saying, writing, maintaining that sociological theory must be connected to a Piagetian stage theory to surmount the materialistic thinking, to surmount a thinking bound to social structures and class conflicts solely. He says there in the articles that the rise of modern industrial society follows psychological stage developments, and that the formal operational stage is a precondition to the emergence of modern society. All these things are only hinted at, are only indicated, not elaborated fully, but the contentions are there. The same is held with Jean Ziegler, who wrote in 1968 a book entitled Sociologie et Contestation. And in this book, he also formulated the link between the formal operational stage and the emergence of modern industrial society. However, I'm the only one who has elaborated this to a full and encompassing theory. In the articles and books I've hinted at, I've mentioned with PowerPoint. In these articles, you find a fully developed theory pertaining to the subject. When we want to study the things more closely, we have to start with the preconditions that must be given when a modern industrial society is to develop. There must be certain preconditions. A great population. Industrial society cannot appear in a society based on small villages with 200, 300 residents living there, dispersed in vast territories. You must have a population consisting of some million of people living in cities, more or less living in cities. You must have a division of labor, agriculture, craftsmanship, enterprises, commercial business enterprises, and you must have a transportation system. You must have a stable political system, bureaucracy, administration, and a certain development of government structures. All these preconditions were given at least for 2000 years in the Roman Empire, in the Chinese Empire, in some parts of India. And the question arises, why did modern industrial society did not come into being in those empires in antiquity or anywhere in medieval times? And when we want to answer to the question, then we must consider the role of the formal operational stage. Because we can see that all these ancient civilizations remain stuck in the pre-operational or concrete operational stage. we can prove of this contention by the fact that all these ancient and medieval civilizations believed in animistic terms, thought in magical terms, and performed magical practices, and that pertaining to all other forms of the pre-operational and concrete operational stage, these cultures and civilizations did not develop the formal operational stage. And you see it at once when you compare peoples of modern industrial civilizations, especially the intellectual elite, to the intellectual elite and the populace of the pre-modern civilizations. Modern industrial populations and intellectual elites do not believe anymore in magic, do not perform any more magical practices, and do not think anymore in animistic terms. And therefore, it is clear that modern peoples are staying on the formal operational stage, while pre-modern peoples stay on the lower stages. And therefore, it is absolutely clear that there must be a certain link between the adolescent stage of formal operations and the emergence of modern industrial societies. When we come to the key technology and the key phenomenon that discriminates pre-modern civilizations, pre-modern economies from modern economies, then you come to the steam engine of James Watt. The steam engine of James Watt is at the technological watershed between pre-modern and modern technology. But the steam engine of James Watt is a result of the modern physical sciences. It does not result from craftsmanship and from practices you can develop by trial and error. Conversely, the steam engine is a result of the chemistry, metallurgy, physics, and mathematics of the 18th century. James Watt was a scientist and not only a craftsman, and therefore he corresponded with the great chemists of his time, Priestley and others. And his archive is said to be the biggest and greatest industrial archive of an entrepreneur in the first half of the 19th century. The technology behind the steam engine of James Watt is unparalleled in history and cannot be compared to the technologies of the Roman Empire, of the Chinese and Indian Empire. It has no counterpart in ancient and medieval history. It is the greatest technology. It is the high-tech of the 18th century. And it results from the physical sciences. So, the ancient civilization did not have the capacity to develop such a machine. And you see immediately the link between the adolescent stage of formal operations and the steam engine of James Watt, because the emergence of the formal operations in the 17th and 18th century is a precondition of the emergence of the physical sciences. And the emergence of the physical sciences is a precondition to the rise of the steam engine. And therefore you see directly the combination between formal operational stage, physical sciences, industrial technology, industrial economy, industrial society. But of course, the formal operational stage does not manifest only industrial technology. It penetrates the whole economic behavior of the people in Europe of the 18th and 19th century. Everywhere, entrepreneurs started new businesses, invented new technologies, created new innovations, built up trusts and big enterprises, started new kinds of economic branches. And so the emergence of the adolescent stage of formal operations exhibits, manifests in several forms of industrial technologies and industrial economies. And this is the idea in a superficial way Max Weber already had in his Protestantic ethic and the rise of capitalism, as he maintains there that internal mutations in the mind of the European people themselves originated the rise of capitalism. That internal transformations in the psyches, in the behavior, in the mental aspirations of people themselves was the precondition to let the capitalism arise. And that is a superficial description of that, what is possible to describe in terms of developmental psychology, as I have done in my articles and books pertaining to the subject. But you can say more. It cannot be accidental that the 18th century sees the rise of the physical sciences, the rise of industrial society and industrial technologies and industrial economy, but also the age of enlightenment, including the rise of the idea of liberty, rights, and democracy, including the rise of a humanistic revolution and the evolution of the classical music. The authors of enlightenment have themselves seen the rise of modern industrial society as a part, as a manifestation of enlightened ideas, of the age of enlightenment. And therefore they have seen themselves the rise of modern industrial economy as a part of an intellectual advancement, parallel to the movement of enlightenment pertaining to the development of liberty, rights, and democracy, parallel to the humanistic revolution. And therefore, the philosophers in Paris in the 18th century saw the rise of modern industrial society as a manifestation of an intellectual movement, in one hand, in one hand, to that belong also the developments in politics, morals, literature, and so on. What means the Age of Enlightenment? The Age of Enlightenment includes the fight against superstition, magic, belief in witchcraft, means the fight against slavery and serfdom, dictatorship and tyranny, means the emphasis upon liberty rights, the idea of republic, constitutional monarchy, or even democracy, means humanism in criminal law and pedagogic. All these are manifestations of the age of enlightenment, and all these developments are manifestations of the adolescent stage of formal operations. And therefore we can see that the rise of modern industrial society is a cultural transformation, a cultural jump, a progression in culture and society. It is the greatest jump humankind has ever made since the invention of agriculture and permanent residence. You can say that the development of classic music, keywords Bach and Beethoven, that the development of humanism in pedagogics and criminal law, the development of liberty rights and democracy, the fight against superstition, magic, and irrational ideas and customs, and the rise of modern industrial technology and economy are different fingers of one hand. And this one hand can be seen as a symbol to the adolescent stage of formal operations. And therefore, I see this new theory as a breakthrough in understanding not only world history generally, but also the rise of modern industrial society specifically. It supports those ideas, Comte, Elias, Habermas, and others have developed, all those who emphasize the role of cognition and the role of mental developments pertaining to the subject. And therefore, this new theory rejects all those theories that described the rise of modern industrial society solely in terms of social class conflicts, power struggles, or economic transformations and economic circumstances. I would like to mention here the names Immanuel Wallerstein, Karl Marx, Douglas North, and authors like that, Menker, Olson, and so on. The new theory supports the classic sociology combined with the names Comte, Weber, and Elias. But the new theory I have developed in the frame of the structural genetic theory program goes beyond the ideas put forward by Comte and Weber and Elias. It is a breakthrough in understanding the nature of modern industrial society. The modern industrial society is a result from psychogenetic transformations. Modern humans are 5 or 10 developmental years more developed than archaic or pre-modern humans. You must understand the nature of the pre-modern human being to understand the rise of modern industrial society. If you do not know the nature of the pre-modern human being, then you cannot understand the pre-modern society and the modern society. You must have at first a full theory, a full description of the nature of the pre-modern human being. If you do not know that the pre-modern human being stood on stages of children aged 3 to 10, especially 3 to 8. If you do not know that, then you cannot give an answer to the question, why did modern society arise? If you do not know that modern human beings stay on anthropological stages 5 or 10 years higher than pre-modern humans, then you cannot understand the nature of modern industrial society. Without Piagetian stage theory, you cannot understand social changes, long-term social changes, or social evolution, or the evolution of modern industrial society. Only in the framework of stage theory, a full understanding of the greatest historical transformation taking place in human history is possible and feasible. And who knows this? Apart of the author of the structural genetic theory program. Nobody else knows this.